Today's guest is Jerry Pietrala. Jerry is a local actor with over 45 IMDb credits, and he has appeared in such films as Batshit and Jack in the Treehouse. Some of the topics we talk about in today's episode are typecasting, his opinion on the local film scene, and his goals and aspirations for the future. Here's the interview with Jerry Pietrala. Jerry, thank you for stopping by today. I really appreciate it.
Hey, pleasure was all mine.
Do you make a living acting, or do you have a day job like the rest of the world?
Unfortunately, I have a day job. I find all of my casting notices through different groups on Facebook. One of them is called Pittsburgh Entertainment Industry and Networking, or PEIN. Another is called Pittsburgh Filmmaking Community. Another is called PAL2. And there are about one or two others, but the ones that I just named off are the primary sources.
Okay, but what do you do for a living? What do you do for a job?
I currently work as a metal grinder for a company called Permacast.
Cool. Where is that, out where you live?
It's
Here?
well, the address for that place is in Export, but it's only about maybe a 10-minute drive from where I am.
Great. How do you also do commercial acting?
I have never done commercial acting yet. I would love to do commercial acting, though.
Huh. Do you have an agent?
Well, I'm signed with TB Talent and Casting. That's run by Terry Berselli, but I haven't really received any notices for any opportunities from her lately. And I have to be honest with you, I haven't really been attending any of the casting calls that she posts lately, because I get sidetracked with so many other things.
Okay.
But I'd love to see her again.
Okay. The reason I say that is I'm friends with, what I didn't even know about that agency. I just knew about Doherty,
I'm familiar with that.
Belichick, and the talent group.
Yeah, I'm familiar with those two. I actually tried out for two of them about 10 years ago, but they said that there wasn't any room for me. I'd like to go back to them, but it keeps slipping my mind whenever I have the chance.
Yeah, it's tough because they only have open calls once a month. So
exactly, yeah, and sometimes those calls could come at very inconvenient times.
Yeah, tell me about it. So why are you an actor, and why are you in Pittsburgh?
I always knew from the start that acting was a primary calling for me. I didn't realize how much of a calling it was for me until I was probably in high school. It took other people to help me realize how much of a calling it was for me, and how much of an ambition I had for it. And as for staying in Pittsburgh, I grew up in southwestern PA all my life, and I would like to take a trip to Los Angeles to see if I could find some networking events to attend, but money always gets scarce.
Yeah, you can't fly now anyways, probably anyways. Huh?
Yeah, you're right. Not only that, but I'm really horrible at being in the right place at the right time.
That's funny. Like it just never happens to you? You're just not lucky in that way, or what?
I don't know what the case is.
Huh, that's funny. Okay, so what do you like better, acting for stage or film?
I've been doing a lot of film. I haven't really done any stage acting since 2008. I would like to do some more stage acting, but I'd like to look for more professional theaters to try out for. I don't do voluntary community theater. I don't do that.
Yeah, why not?
Well, this is the way I see it, and this is not meant to be egotistical or anything like that, but community theater is only for two kinds of people who don't have much experience in acting, and people who just, like to act for a hobby, and I don't fit into either one of those categories.
Well, don't you work for free for film stuff?
Well, yeah, but there's a difference in film. Whenever you work in film, once the finished product is finished, you can send the film to, festivals, or look for a distribution deal. So with film acting, you get more exposure than you do stage.
That's understandable. I understand. So what's your opinion of the local filmmaking community?
They're awesome. They're a lot of fun to work with. They're very passionate about their work. The problem with them is that a lot of them seemingly don't really know which direction to go when it comes to promoting their work. It seems like they don't know which direction to go into, or they don't have the sources. The sources like what would be the great distribution deal, what would be good festivals to send them to. So they need a good bit of improvement on that. But aside from that, when it comes to their passion and the creativity and the stories, they're all excellent.
Awesome. I'm doing this podcast, and I'm definitely not an expert on any of this stuff. And the distribution part is something that I know absolutely zero about. Like, if you were to create a short film, like, I know there's festivals to send it to, but besides that, like,
right.
what
you can also post it on YouTube too.
Okay, and then like, there's no really monetary upside to that.
Not as far as I can see.
Yeah, that's another thing that I'm kind of surprised at, that people will make these movies and then they'll probably submit them a couple places. Then after that, they just hold on to them, and I never see the stuff. Like,
I agree with you. That is sad.
On my website, I have a list of I've been in 30 films so far. Or I've worked on 30 films, and it's like, and I make links to the movies that are posted online, and I may have 8-9 links. That's all out of all those. You would think that, that if you're making this movie, you'd want to post it.
Right. Yeah.
At least that's what I thought.
I agree.
I've worked with a lot of different quality of crew members. Like, there's some really experienced ones, and there's some, we're all on a learning curve somewhere.
Exactly.
And we all have different experiences.
Yes.
But does that experience level of the crew affect how you do your job, how you act?
Me personally, I don't think so. I mean, it might affect other people, but I just try to do the best that I can, no matter how much professionalism there is.
I got you.
I mean, different strokes for different folks.
Right.
So I know that I'm here. I'm there to do a job, so I try to bring out the best I can.
That's good. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but you do work for free, just like I do, and so many others do. And you do it because it's an investment in potential work down the line.
Yes, I view it as experienced, a resume builder, and as I said before, I have about 45 credits on IMDb so far, so that's a good resume builder, and I'm pretty positive that bigger people in the industry will probably stumble upon my profile on the Internet Movie Database and look at the stuff that I've done. They might probably say to themselves, "Wow, this guy has done so much work. Why haven't we heard of him before?"
That's what you're hoping, huh? That's cool. So, in your opinion, what makes one actor better than another?
Different actors do their jobs and approach their roles in different manners. I guess there's never really a right or wrong answer for everybody. So I guess it would depend on the individual. Does that make any sense?
Well, I'm looking for more characteristics of what makes one better than another. If you listen to someone or watch someone act, can you say, "Oh, that's this is what they're doing wrong," that kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, actors do have to take direction well enough. I mean, if they're not, if they don't handle direction in the way that they're supposed to, then I guess then you could consider them bad. And I mean, for instance, if somebody is if somebody's performance is too wooden and the director says do it like this, and they're still not able to do it in the exact way that they're asked to do so, then that would probably be a sign of a not too good actor.
Okay.
Does that make any sense?
Well, I know it's really subjective. I just thought if you had opinions on it, it'd be interesting. Have you been trained as an actor?
I did take at least 2 acting courses whenever I was a student at IUP.
Okay. Did you find those very helpful?
Somewhat. But for the most part, I believe that if you get as much experience as possible, then that's all that matters. I mean, courses, don't get me wrong, acting classes are helpful, but the most important thing is that you have to get the experience. Gotcha.
Have you ever thought about doing other things besides acting in the film industry?
Yeah. I want to continue acting, and I also do other talents. I also sing, and I also play violin, and I can do different voices too. So if there's any offering to do voiceover work, whether it be to be like an announcer in a commercial or a documentary, or to do a voice for like an animated character, I would gladly accept it. I've always wanted to I love to sing, and I also would like to sing songs for soundtracks for films that I act in. And if I was ever given an opportunity to maybe record some albums and singles for like an independent record label, I'd gladly accept. But a major label like Sony or Columbia or Arista or one of those big labels, probably not.
Why not? That's how you get discovered. You could like go places.
Well, yeah, but I think that I have the type of voice that's suitable for like the independent labels and for movie soundtracks and things that things that lean more towards acting. Like people who act and sing will often be asked a certain question, and that question is, are you a singer who acts or an actor who sings? And I personally always view myself as an actor who sings.
Oh, okay. What about crew positions? You ever thought about directing?
Sometimes, but I don't know if I would be able to have the patience or the discipline to direct, because like I'm very, what's the word I'm looking for? If I have a specific idea, I don't want it to get sidetracked or bent or anything like that. So if somebody can't do it exactly the way I wanted to, then that would probably freak me out. But I have thought about the idea of directing, but I don't know if I'd be able to have the patience for that.
So if you've worked with inexperienced actors, somebody that's just new at this, what do you see them doing wrong the most? Like what kind of mistakes do new actors make mostly?
Probably that their performances might be a bit too wooden, and they don't have enough, and they don't have enough emotion or the right emotions in whatever scenes that they have to do.
Okay.
And maybe they're having trouble getting the right moods. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I'm not an actor, so I don't really see that part. Usually when you guys are acting, I'm thinking about what the levels are doing or something like that. But I do like watching you. That's one of the things I do like about this job is I'm a sound guy mostly. So
oh yeah.
So when I'm capturing sound, I'm right there in the thick of things, and I really like that. That's one of the things I like best about it.
That's good.
So have you ever tried editing?
No.
No. Okay.
I am very technologically challenged, so I am not exactly sure if I would like to try out editing, but I really commend the people who are able to do that. That's a really, really huge talent.
Yeah, I've edited one film in my life this summer instead of I go to the beach every year with the family, and there's like 30 people there, and I'm sort of I don't like the beach that much, so I try to find something else to do. Usually I take my kayaks, take my bicycle, it's like I'll do anything but go sit in the sand.
It's just like acting. If you don't try to get the experience in editing, I mean, you won't be able to be reputable. So
right.
The more experience, the merrier.
Yeah. Well, this year, what I was getting to, this year I made a film.
Oh, good.
So I went there, and it was the first film I ever made, and I used my niece as the star. My 15-year-old niece is a star, and her friend was like the co-star, and it was kind of fun. I enjoyed it.
Cool.
But what I learned was editing is tough. I mean, it's
I don't doubt it.
It's really tough. This actually brings me to another question. And the question is, okay, you know how we do shots? We'll do, like they say there's two people talking. We'll do a wide shot, then we'll do a close-up over the shoulder, close-up over the shoulder.
And it did so many different angles, yeah.
Right. Do you keep in mind, let's say you have to deliver 3 lines, and on the third line, on the wide shot, you pick up something, you take a drink. Okay? Now, do you keep in mind that continuity for the close-up shots?
Yes. Continuity is very, very important.
Well, the thing was, I was the director, so I screwed up. But my niece didn't know she just like did something different every time. You know what I mean? And it was like, I couldn't cut it together. It's driving me crazy.
That's not a very good thing to do. That's really disturbing, and that'll screw up the entire thing for the editor.
But continuity throughout the shot, like I said, do you keep in mind not to reach for that drink on the second line? Or do do you keep it that tight?
Well, if the director says to pick up the drink and drink like on the second line, then I do it, and I'll do that for every single take.
Well, but what if you're not instructed? What
If I'm not instructed, then I'll try to remember exactly when exactly I did pick up the drink, and so I'll try to remember it and try to discipline myself and try to remember. Okay, which line was it that I picked up the drink?
Okay, because that just screwed me way up. What are some of the big mistakes you see local filmmakers make?
That's a really tough question because I never really paid careful attention to goofs or anything like that.
A lot of times you're so worried about your lines and everything.
Exactly,
that,
yeah.
It could be really crappy lighting or something, and you would just go. You probably wouldn't notice because you're thinking about other things.
Right.
That's not your specialty.
Yeah, I would say you would probably have to ask a person who worked as a crew member that question. They would probably give you all the answers that you want.
Right. Have you ever given advice to the filmmakers about a certain thing, on like how to deliver your line, or maybe you should be facing this way instead of that way, or do you ever get into that?
Oh yeah. Every actor should bring that kind of stuff to the attention of directors and producers. They should do that.
Do most of the local filmmakers, are they accepting of that kind of information?
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is the way I see it. An actor should have the right to have as much creative freedom as possible. But the thing is, he shouldn't be a diva about it. What the actor should do is he should come up with some ideas on how to play his part, present the ideas to the director, and the director has every right to veto whatever idea he doesn't like. And so that's that's way they can come up with a nice negotiation.
Cool. I like that. So are there any other actors that you really enjoy working with? Like there are certain ones, I don't mean you to pick favorites or anything,
right,
but
yeah.
Are there some people you just really enjoy working with?
I can't really think of anybody specific because I get along with all of them wonderfully.
Okay.
But I've run into so many of them in the city several times. I mean, acting projects are the things that really bring a lot of local actors together. I mean, projects are like reunions.
When I first got into this, it was like I've only been doing this for like a year and a half, and I was amazed that all these people give up their weekends to work on these projects, and they're so passionate about it. Everybody loves it, and like everybody knows everybody. I mean, it's a really small community.
Exactly.
I mean, before we started, when I hit the record button, we were talking about how the life expectancy of this podcast is pretty small because like I could interview everybody in it. And how many people do you think are in the industry? I mean, there's not that many.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's pretty interesting. Like Brian Saponis, I ran into him
he
5
rocks.
times in the first 20 films that I did.
I believe it.
He's everywhere.
I believe it.
Drives me crazy.
You're absolutely right about that. He gets around more than I do. I wish I was like him.
So I know this is another asking favorite thing, but who are some of your favorite filmmakers to work with?
I enjoy working with Matthew Diolis, and this is actually mutual because he always tries to find a way to include me in his projects, and I'm very, very grateful for that. And he often works with Jason Boyer, and Jason is an editor and a photographer, and I believe he also does sound too. And so they often work together, and they always try to find a way to include me in their work, and I'm very grateful for that. So I enjoy working with those two.
Did they sort of specialize in a certain genre?
I don't think so. They try to be as versatile, and when it comes to choosing genres. I mean, they've done some horrors, some dramas. They've done at least one comedy. So thank God they don't specialize in just one specific genre. That would get too monotonous.
Really? Well, you and I were talking at one of the events we were at, and you were saying you're sort of complaining that like you get typecast a lot.
Yeah.
And that's something you want to get away from, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So do you have a strategy to do that?
Well, I was just going to say, thankfully, those two guys that I just mentioned, they try hard to keep me as versatile as possible. But I don't want to name any names, but there is one filmmaker who, don't get me wrong, he always tried to make sure that he includes me in all of his projects. And I'm really grateful for that. But the problem is there just wasn't enough versatility in the sizes and the qualities of the roles that he was giving me, and it was very frustrating.
Yeah, I can imagine and I don't know how you get around that. I mean, do you have a strategy for like, okay, I don't want to be typecast. What am I going to do about it?
The only thing I can think of is to, bring that concern to their attention and, say, are you willing to, let me give you a list of characters that I really would like to play, and let me hand them to you. And, I understand you probably are not going to be able to imagine me doing these types of roles, but if you would just, allow me to prove myself that I can, I'm sure you might be able to change your mind.
That's good. So I don't want you to name any names, but are there people that you won't work with?
No.
So if you have a bad experience, or have you had bad experiences at all?
I wouldn't necessarily say bad experiences, but sometimes, some of them have been somewhat unpleasant due to different conditions in, like, the environment or the locations.
What about if have you ever worked on a project even multiple days and then had that project never completed?
Not that I recall.
Because that's one thing some people complain about is if you're going to do a film,
Yeah.
you better do the film.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because we've all invested all that time.
Oh yeah. I do know somebody. This, and I'm not gonna name any names, but he comes up with brilliant storylines, and he's written a lot of scripts, and he'll always say that he's gonna have this script made into a film during this whatever day, and just before the day comes, he'll cancel it. And I still have yet to work with him, but because he keeps canceling all of his projects. So.
Wonder why that is.
I don't know. Maybe he gets cold feet very easily. Who knows? People have been trying to help him break out of his shell and say, if you're going to say you're going to get this made into a film, do it. Stop canceling all the time.
Right. Tilt that thing down just a wee little bit. Maybe point it towards you just a little bit more. Okay.
Were you able to hear me beforehand?
Yeah. It's
Okay.
just, varying. I'm trying to keep it as consistent as I can.
Oh, yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Have you had any bad experiences on a shoot that there weren't any people that you would say, I'm not working for them again?
No, I wouldn't necessarily say I had any bad experiences. I mean, sometimes not with me personally, but sometimes I would witness things between some cast and crew get heated, but nothing that had to do with me.
This job can get really stressful.
Oh yeah,
'Cause,
I agree with you.
You have all these moving parts and, the time constraint and, there's expectations and then there's
Exactly, yeah.
disappointments and it's tough. Would you recommend that filmmakers take acting lessons?
I don't know if I would say that I would recommend it, but it wouldn't hurt.
So you don't think it would be a night and day kind of, this would help you direct?
Acting lessons are for people who want to try to improve their acting skills, but for filmmakers,
I would think that they would better understand what the actor is going through and maybe better be able to communicate what they're trying to get across.
I don't know if any type of filmmaker should take acting lessons, but if anybody aspires to be a director, maybe acting lessons might be helpful because a director is supposed to guide the actor into how to play his part. So maybe a director should take some acting lessons.
Huh. Okay. Good.
But other people like editors or photographers or producers, I don't see that as much of a necessity.
Is there anything that makes you accept or reject a part, or do you pretty much take anything just to try it out?
For the most part, I accept anything.
Oh, cool. So, I especially at the beginning of this, like I would just do it just to do it, because
Exactly, yeah.
it's a training ground.
Exactly.
So, yeah, I agree. So what's your favorite thing about being an actor?
So many different options to choose from. I like bringing life into a fictional character and showing the audiences, what the character is going through.
That's it? That's the best part? What else is there?
I enjoy being part of the storylines as well. I mean, I like being able to tell a story through the talent of acting.
Good. What's your least favorite part?
Trying to figure out how many takes would be winners, and you're doing a certain thing over and over and over again, depending upon how many takes are necessary and which angles that the cameramen are supposed to do. So that does get annoying after a while, but it's all worth it in the end. I remember when I was working on the Batshit project, the DP. I'm not going to name any names, but every time I was finished doing a scene, the DP would always say, "Okay, let's do it at this angle. Let's do it at that angle." I mean, he always wanted to play experiments with angles, and that did get annoying after a while, but it was all worth it in the end. So I can understand why he wanted to do that. So
Yeah, sometimes you want to experiment because
exactly, yeah,
that's how we all grow. And it's like if you don't push the envelope and if you don't like take those chances, then I don't know. I know I'm a photographer, and
right.
you end up doing the same thing over and over
Right.
if you don't push the envelope a little bit.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
That's no fun.
Yeah, the more experience, the merrier. The more experience, the better.
Do you think you have a chance of making it big?
As a teenager, I always used to dream about becoming a big star, whether it be in New York or Hollywood. But I kind of threw that dream away. All that matters to me for now is that that I work on something. It gets the right. Goes to the right places for distribution and or festivals, and that it can help lead to bigger and better opportunities. And I'm also hoping that it can lead to an opportunity that can help me turn acting into a full-time career. I'm not looking for riches or making $1 million or anything like that. But as long as I'm able to make it full-time and be able to pay my rent and bills and be able to still have enough money on the side, then I'll be happy. I'm not looking for fame and fortune or anything like that. Although I actually admit it would be nice, but
Yeah.
but the fame and fortune part is not the most important thing.
Right. But if you looked into the future and you saw that you had never made it big, you'd still keep acting?
Probably.
Yeah, that's the thing about this business. It's
Well,
like
I'm already on the Internet Movie Database and I have 45 credits. It's too late to give up now.
it's never too late to give up. Because you could always do something else that you like. If you found a new passion, like me, I found this. This is my passion now, and I still want to be a photographer. But like I find that I'm the happiest when I'm doing something new. Something that I can obsess about,
Right.
something that I can learn about.
Oh, I
all
understand
the
that.
time. Are there any places you go to learn about acting? Like what would you recommend to somebody getting into acting? Like what are some things they should do to become a better actor?
Are you referring to somebody who has some experience, or all the experience that I do, or
No, some like a new actor, someone that's like maybe he's 25 years old and he's working on a job that he doesn't like, and he said, "I want to try acting." How do you go about?
You mean somebody who never had any experience
Right.
whatsoever?
Right.
Well, I would say the first thing he should do is to check as many sources as possible. Join as many Facebook groups as possible that make posts about casting calls. There's also a source called the Pittsburgh Film Office Hotline. They always post casting calls. They have an official website. I would suggest to him that he should actors and actresses. I'm gonna yeah. I would say that all actors and actresses who don't have any experience should check all of those sources. Audition for anything possible, whether it be stage shows or films or anything, and just keep auditioning and auditioning and auditioning, and an offer will come very soon, and never give up on it.
That's good advice. Now, just into the nuts and bolts of being an actor, how do you memorize all those lines? That's one of the reasons I could never even think about being an actor, is my memory is not that great. And like,
well, I have to admit, I have a terrible short-term memory myself.
so you have no advice to give. Just do your best, huh?
Well, not only that, but keep looking for your lines as often as possible. And I admit that whenever I first get a script, it takes a really long time for me to actually pound the words into my head. Memorize all the lines that you can, and just remember that if you're in film, if you screw up, there's always going to be a chance for another take, and bloopers are a lot of fun to do too. So, and don't be afraid to make a blooper, because bloopers are very funny whenever you look at them. So don't be ashamed to end up making a blooper, but just keep looking at your lines as much as possible. Try to get them memorized. Ask somebody to go over them with you.
I remember I was one of the first projects I worked on. It was with a crew from CMU.
Okay.
And they were all seniors, I guess, and they were all in their acting classes. And they were filming this scene, and they're all sitting around kind of waiting for their parts to play. And they were all reading other things, like they were memorizing another project. Like this one girl, who I thought was gorgeous, by the way, but that's neither here nor there. But as soon as she got done with her part, and she just had a couple of lines, she went over, grabbed her script, and she's like spouting Shakespeare. It was just amazing how much they had to learn. I thought it was really interesting.
I was just going to say, it might be very difficult to be part of more than one project at once. I don't remember ever doing that myself, but I wouldn't discourage people from doing that, because that kind of gives you even more experience.
I think it would be good training to like stretch your mind.
I agree with you.
I think they probably keep Alzheimer's from coming on a little bit early.
Absolutely.
Never know. What is your worst on-set experience?
Worst on-set experience? I wouldn't necessarily say I had any worst on-set experience, but the experience I had while working on the Batshit film was very time-consuming, and everybody was all tired out. We would put in 10-hour days and get not as many scenes as we wanted to done. So that was a bit frustrating. I wouldn't necessarily call it the worst experience. It was not the worst. It was all worth it in the end. But it just got so frustrating and so irritating.
Yeah, that's one of the things that drives me crazy about this business that I do not like, is these long freaking hours.
Yeah,
like
I agree with you.
I understand it. Like, okay, we got to get this done. We have all these assets in place.
Exactly, yeah.
But
to answer your question, I don't think I have what you would call a worst experience. But I remember, experience that were time consuming and irritating. So I wouldn't necessarily call them worst.
What are some of your favorite projects that you've worked on?
I enjoyed working on the comedy feature Craig Quits His Day Job, even though I was only there for maybe three or 4 days. I was able to play a character who was not scary like I usually get chosen for, but a bit more wacky and zany. So I enjoyed that. I enjoyed being part of Batshit, despite some of the flaws that it had. I highly recommend that you see it once the finished project comes out.
Have you seen it yet? Have you seen copies?
I've seen I've seen bits and pieces of some of the scenery, but that's pretty much it. I haven't seen everything. I highly recommend that you check that out once it's done. I enjoyed working on a film called 13 Score, which is a horror feature that was shot up at Conneaut Lake, and a few scenes were shot over in McKeesport. I was only needed for just one day, but I was told that my scene was the most important one, because I played the storyteller who tells the story of the legend that ends up happening again. So that 13 Score was about something that kind of repeated itself in history.
Okay, that's interesting. What's your favorite kind of part to play?
I don't know if I would say that I have a specific favorite, but I am getting a little bit tired of playing the antagonist and the villains. I would like to play an antagonist or villain in a comedy, rather than a horror or dramas. I have a lot of different types of parts that I still haven't played yet, and I would really like to try out. I've always wanted to play an angel, or trying to earn his wings. I would love to play a blind man. I would like to play. I like to play the part of a lawyer. I enjoy playing a doctor. I actually had the chance to play a doctor in 2 different projects.
I could see you as a doctor.
You're not the only person who said that to me. I actually enjoy playing doctors.
Why is that?
It's a nice change of pace from being the villains.
Okay. Well, thank you, Jerry, for coming on the podcast. I really appreciate it. And
yeah, no problem. And I would also like to promote some things. 2 films that are currently in the can. Be on the lookout for them. Are Batshit and Jack in the Treehouse. I finished working on those last year. They're currently going through some of the post production, and so they do have a release date sometime this year. I believe sometime during the fall. I don't know the exact dates, but be on the lookout for those 2. I'm sure you'll really love them.
Actually, I worked on Jack in the Treehouse too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just for a couple days.
Yeah, I was there for about 2 or 3 days myself. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, that was a nice project. I think it'll be fun. I can't wait to see it.
It's funny that you were working on that because I didn't have to audition for it like I do so many of the other ones. One time.
You know what? He probably found us at the same networking event. Is that where you met him?
That might be possible. I honestly don't remember ever meeting him beforehand, but the funny thing happened was that one day I got an email. From him, and he said that Jack Davis recommended me, and he said he was looking for some people to play a certain type of character, and that a mutual acquaintance that we both have, Jack Davis, recommended me, and so that's how I ended up coming on board.
That was fun. I mean, it was interesting to see the kids act, and it was good. I liked it. If people want to reach you, how can they do that?
You can email me at jerrypietrala@yahoo.com.
You better spell that.
Yeah, JERRYPIETRALA, all one word, all lowercase, yahoo.com. And I also would like to point out something. I would like to promote the Batshit project. It's going to end up being one of the best films you've ever seen. Like I said before, we put in a lot of hard work, and it was time consuming, and people were frustrated and annoyed that that we didn't get as much done in a day as we wanted to, but it was all worth it in the end. So all the blood, sweat, and tears will definitely pay off.
Okay, well, like I said, thank you very much for helping me.
Sure,
and,
pleasure was all mine.
I wish you the best on all your future endeavors.
Oh, likewise.
Okay, take care.
And I'm sure we'll be reunited very soon.
I'm sure we will. Small town.
Absolutely.
Okay, everybody, thanks for listening. If you found us on our webpage, please leave a comment and let us know what you think. If you found us on iTunes or Spotify and you like the show, please leave a rating or review. And whatever you do, hit the subscribe button. Thanks again, and we'll be here next week with another episode.